Having OCD in this business is so important, especially when buying pre-owned watches. If you didn't buy your watch from me, you definitely messed up. All right, YouTube, welcome back to the channel. Guys, we got a great video today. Now, let me apologize in advance. This was a very last minute thing. This wasn't planned. We pretty much just went out on a whim and tried to film all this. However, it is a fully functional workshop. There's other people working in there. We didn't shut down the shop in order to film this video, so I apologize in advance if you hear any loud noises, any of the machines. A lot of these things are very loud. There's nothing that I could really do. Microphones were still picking up on all this extra noise, as well as some out of focus shots. This work was not free by any means. It's not free, it cost me money. However, when people ask me, Peter, how do these things get done? And I try and explain it to them, they can't visualize it in their head. And that makes perfect sense. It's a lot of work that goes into doing stuff like this. You guys have heard me say this a million times. I'm very OCD when it comes to watch refinishing and pretty much just the general condition of any watch. So rightfully so, whoever I let work on a watch I'm selling, or whether it's my own personal piece, they have to be just as OCD. Johnny ticks every single one of those boxes, but this is just a great video taking you guys through the steps of properly restoring a watch and doing some, just general shop talk. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. All right, so this one is the presidential, right? Yeah, that's what we're starting with. So this one had a nice deep thing on the left side, right?
Yep, right here.
You can actually get that. So it's gonna need laser weld, and then from there, clean up.
So as you can see here, the surface is very jagged, edges inside there. First, we're gonna stitch this area. So what we're going to do is we're going to stitch it with laser first, and then we're going to add on metal to cover the deficit that we have.
So now, Johnny, would you say adding metal back into the watch, right? Does that alter a watch's worth? Does it destroy its value? Anything like that?
Actually, I think it's the better way of going at doing the repair like this.
Agreed.
The problem is that a lot of people, like a dent like this, normally what people used to do, and I believe still a lot of companies do, is each watch could be polished 4 times in its lifetime.
Agreed.
What we like to do is be able to switch this process to 4 or 5 times. Now, polishing, as you know, is a subtractive skill. That means we're constantly taking a little bit of gold, a little bit of material out.
Absolutely.
If we try to remove this, we're breaking this geometry here by 0.5 millimeter from one side, 1/4 millimeter on one side.
Mm-hmm.
That means we gotta bring it 1/4 millimeter from this side. Now you have a 0.5 millimeter deficit in the diameter.
So that throws off the geometry of the entire case. It makes it appear thinner. That's how you get messed up lugs.
And
that's how you get everything.
It looks bad. So now the next job Weber is gonna take, if this wasn't prepped right, he's already at a deficit. How is he gonna deliver good work? The other thing is that I think that is more of damaging the watch now as a repair versus bringing it back. As watchmakers and as artisans, you kind of have to be a little bit honest with the work that you do, and you're supposed to do no harm. It should be better than what it was, or the best of your ability. Thank God we have enough technology now that we could do these things. Before, I used to fill this up with oxygen flame.
By hand and drip the gold right onto the fill, right?
By the time you got cleaned and cut, and sometimes even with that process, you're not very accurate. So you're still cutting maybe the area that you soldered.
Yes.
Because you couldn't see where you're at anymore.
Yep.
Now we can do more accurate work. So when we turn our laser welding machine on, now a lot of people I know, they hit stuff with wires. They do a lot of surface weld prepping. What I like to do is I like to polish the area with laser. First we heat it up, and then when we heat it up, we're going to make sure all of our welds are going to be nice and intact. And this is going to heat up the area that I want to introduce welds to, and clean the spot that I'm working on versus me going in and cutting and doing crazy stuff. You just want to clean it a little bit.
So this right now is basically prep work, right? So you're cleaning out the jagged edges.
Exactly.
And
all
stuff
I'm doing
in the
is
metal.
I'm heating it up a little bit and creating a nice beautiful surface.
Like Johnny just said, he's heating up, he's pre-cleaning the actual mid-case that he's working on. You need to get rid of all those jagged edges, basically clean up the area so that when you do go ahead and fill it with laser weld, it adheres to the case. Would that be accurate in saying that?
That's exactly what you want to do, because as you're eating, you gotta remember that laser is not a light, it's actually a frequency. you have to make sure that you have nice, beautiful, flat surfaces to work on. Versus right now, you have too many cuts from whatever the edge that hit the watch. The process, but I found it very successful when I'm working because it allows me to be able to really put my welds nice and clean and make sure once I hit it with my wire brush.
You know what's funny, now that you say that, I think everyone has seen people use a laser welder in some capacity, whether it's jewelry or actual watches. I've never seen anybody do this.
The reality is that a lot of metal workers, unfortunately, they just don't read the manual. That's another problem.
Just turn it on and go.
And turn it on and go. And a lot of the videos, a lot of people are not as informative. So now if we come in, you're gonna see that the edges are a little bit softer now. Now we have a nice rounded areas.
I can actually see it, that it's already filled in a little bit on the side.
And all we did is just took the jagged edges off. Now we're gonna take an 18 karat green, yellow, gold. And the reason why it's called green is it doesn't have any zinc in it at all. And that's really the type of metal that you want it to be. When you're welding with laser, you're welding 18 karat on 18 karat. It's not like a solder like before where it was just a little softer solder and it was all the work for you. So first I'm gonna do one tag. Start running my wire nice and beautifully all the way around it.
Now it's almost back to the original geometry of the
exactly
case.
Back to the normal geometry. I will go back again and I will do the same. Creating the road here.
I'm sure people that do this type of work, they're not checking it under a microscope to see porosity and see any voids or oxidization as the actual weld goes down, and they'll just grind it. Technically, you would never see this. You know what I mean? Like when you polish it, you would never see those little voids unless it's a big enough one.
That's like one of the biggest pet peeve I have with a lot of people that do welding. It's processes that you have to follow to keep the job nice and integral at the end of the day. Back now, it's starting to create a little hue around it, and that's a difference between the heat that was introduced when the frequency hit the area that we wanted to hit. Now I'm gonna run this with a wire brush just to get a nice clean surface, and then we're gonna go into our lapping process. Because I'm not adding a finish, I just want to clean the weld and make sure everything's still good.
Like I said, microscope, bang.
And now here, if these welds are not good, they will peel off.
So that's a very big question I get asked. If you laser weld something, will it fall off? Will it just break off when someone's randomly wearing their watch?
No. If it's not prepped right, the answer is yes. But when it is, it'll become one. That's why I do the cooling stick. The stitching on the side when we do the polishing, actually cool it a little so it gets back to the norm of what the metal is. And now you can see where I'm just hitting it with my wire just to clean it. And it looks like the whole hit was not there at all. And everything is meshed perfectly. Now we're gonna have to correct all of the areas here in the surfaces and then we'll do the work. Yeah, I find this way to be the most accurate because it keeps all of the edges nice and sharp and we don't remove as much material out of it. So what I do is I use a medium lap with almost like a gray star, but it's for lap. Now I just run everything nice just to create a nice beautiful edge. We don't need to do anything more than that. Always adhering to the contouring of the case, making sure we keep whatever round is round and whatever flat is flat.
Tool maintenance is the most important thing, and that realistically goes with pretty much any trade. Cutting your buffs, making sure that they've been buffed and raked out. You need to make sure that there's no cross-contamination as well.
Of course.
It's a very big one.
Yes, because the steel brush, for example, has a lot of steel inside it.
Yeah.
And a bolt is softer than steel, for that's how that
absolutely
so many scratches. Now you gotta fight all of those on top of finishing your work accurate.
Exactly. And the funny thing is, I've had people ask me, they go to polish a watch. They're like, Pete, I keep getting scratches in it. I keep getting scratches in it. And the first thing I always ask is, what type of buffs are you using? And then they'll say, well, I have this one. And you could see the gold residue on it from after they've been polishing. You physically can't bring one metal to another and try and polish all with the same buff. It doesn't work.
It's all coming and all together, everything is contoured, and it looks like it wasn't even there anymore.
And notice how nothing's rounded out on that case. The lugs aren't rounded out. And once again, that's because the correct tools, the prep work and stuff of that nature.
The picture is not clear, and the reason is I want to look at the light here. When the light is beautifully round like this, it means we have a beautiful round surface. Once you lean it forward, it's going to sit there and show you that it's stretching all the way through. That means our surface are beautifully flat. And as you can see, it's very nice sharp edge. And as I push back, the light stays where it's polished only, and the area that has satin,
there's no breaks.
There is no breaks. That tells you that this weld is nice and clean, and your surface has been properly addressed. You don't have any more issues with this.
You can really see. I do this all the time where I'll put something like, let's say, a pick to the side of the case and drag it along, right, to see if we have any distortion. Oh, no way.
Now I could literally come in and understand that this is exactly the center. As you can see, it got the black area that just got rounder. And then when I tilt, I want to make sure I have a nice, beautiful surface and it's a perfectly straight line.
What he's doing here is he's putting these axis lines, I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up, but right at the bottom of the case to ensure that there's a straight cut.
Do different color, maybe blue would be better to capture. And now we could see that once I create a nice beautiful line here, it's nice and flat, and that's exactly what I want to be. And once we come in here and we center it, you can see how big the light source is, and it's coming in all the proper quadrants all the way through.
And just before people ask, that circle is obviously from the ring light.
Exactly. Because now we're going to do our pre-polish process that normally it takes a lot of compound and it eats a lot of material. The idea here is that your tool has to have a variable speed.
Yes.
Mostly American motors.
Two speeds, right?
Too strong. They're running at 3,700 RPM from zero. You could not maintain that speed properly when you're working. It's almost trying to catch, I don't know, like a running bike, and you're trying to hold on to the wheel when it's running with all the horses. I've had a lot of success with this machine. I love the fact that it really does give me so much control. It'll give you a nice, beautiful, accurate control of your brush. So this area over here I pre-polished. This area is still from the lab.
There you go.
Notice I did not touch the edge over here. I cleaned this up.
Didn't overlap.
The original finish is still good. Once the brush is so fast and you're pushing to it, it opens up. Now your brush is out of control and you can't see these things moving fast. The way the wheel that we see for gold finish.
What is it?
I have to say that it is absolutely a beautiful wheel. I keep this in my secret stash of food that I normally don't use unless it's on my very special.
What is it? It's made of...
This is made out of suede.
No
This
way.
is all actual leather. The beauty of this is it gives you this very nice bright finish. Now speed here is a key. Too much speed, the leather start biting into the gold.
Too little speed and it drags?
It just drags. And this surface is so clean now that it will pick up my gloves immediately.
The luster is actually
the
crazy.
The luster is insane on this. I found very good success with it. I mean, it captures the light properly. It creates nice, beautiful reflections, and that's what you want to see your surfaces look like.
I could see myself recording in the side of the case.
And it's so clean that it picks up anything. It's such a clean surface that it will just pick up anything that touches it. The beauty of the gold is that gold likes to be polished properly. It likes looking bright.
Yep.
And now the area that you had issues with, it's not there
The ding
anymore.
is literally fully gone. Even on the underside, you can't even tell. So that's how things get done correctly.
This is exactly how any artisan should be doing the work. Just filling it up properly, making sure his welds are nice and clean. Adhering to what temperature he's adding to this is very important. The other part is making sure the material he's using is properly clean.
Absolutely.
Everywhere you go to get welding material, sometimes it's scrap gold, sometimes it's not cooked right. Those are all reasons that creates a porosity, it creates a deficit in your weld, and that will be a nightmare at the end of the day.
You could hear it in his voice, all right, the sincerity and how much pride he takes in his work. And that's why when people ask me, well, why are these things so expensive? I'm not going to show obviously all the machinery in his shop, but Johnny, like, just because people think I'm lying when I say how expensive tools are. Can you just like give a ballpark number? Like, how much do you think you've spent on tools to get where you're at now?
Right now, I'm almost at, I want to say at 1.1.
So when you compare that into not only your time, your efforts, and exactly what you just did, I wouldn't sit here and do that for less than a few $100 myself, right?
Imagine getting a case from Rolex right now.
We just said we have another Daytona here that also needs the same thing. They quoted the guy $12,000. So could you imagine a presidential case?
A presidential case, and then you're
15
coming and going, and with gold being at 2,600 today.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, even though gold price doesn't affect the watch price,
Exactly.
but not when you go into a place it does. Even though we're unauthorized watchmakers, but our skill is at par with all those other companies. So I'm not affiliated with Rolex, I'm not affiliated with any brands that I work on, but when I work on a watch, I want to make sure I give it the best work.
It's the only way possible. It's the only way you can do it.
And that is really, I mean, the quote, I'm pretty sure if we went to Rolex, and the quote will be exorbitant.
What would you guess? I would say about with polish, and they have to overhaul it. Rolex, if you send in your watch, they won't replace hands, they won't replace a dial without a full overhaul, right?
Correct.
So let's add in the polish, let's add in the laser work, let's say that they had someone there to do it. I'm gonna say in the ballpark $700-800 for a service, and then with the laser and all that, maybe another $600, $700, maybe more.
Unlike Rolex, we're not a company. I have to have my skills up to par with certain things. But Rolex will have one person work on weld and maybe lab, and then they have another polisher to do the work.
Correct.
I have to make sure that I took enough time to train on all the various skills that we showed today, and be able to execute them clean all the time. The amount of training I go through just to be, it cost me $7,000 just to learn how to weld.
I'm sure,
And the
exactly.
machine is 20 grand. We're looking just in the consumables with the machine between $60,000 to $70,000 just welding. Even though I have very accurate machines here that do the work, but they're really not watchmaking tools. They're more that between dentistry and
I was just
jewelry
gonna
is what they
say,
decide
Ray Foster,
watchmaker
yeah.
falls.
And that's it, it falls right into that same category.
But we don't have tools that just come to our hands where actual watchmaker is developing it. There's a lot of people on Instagram now, because the community is getting smarter and better.
Yep.
They're starting to share what tools they're finding that works for them, and they're sharing it with them. Please
Exactly.
keep that trend. It's a very good trend. Allows everybody to deliver great work.
See, and polishing, and I say this all the time, polishing is one of the most gate-kept secrets in the world. And I can't thank Johnny enough because he's helped me out on quite a few things, right? You can't go online. You can't figure out what these machines are. It took me so long just to figure out, wait a minute, this is what people use? It's crazy. You can't go on any forums, like a regular watch forum, and people will be talking about this. Obviously, in the sense of me doing the work, it sort of is all profit. However, I'm constantly buying new tools. I'm constantly buying new oils, new greases. Maybe I just saw this tool came out. Somebody selling this, a movement holder, this, and that. It's not a one-time shop, right? It's not a one-time purchase.
I mean, my bench, this is my bench.
It's constantly changing,
It's constantly evolving. There's always a new tool. There's always a new handle that's better. Something with no torque, vacuums.
Yep.
It's every time you're working, you realize a new job comes in, and sometimes you buy one tool for that one specific job,
and you never use it again. I have
it
tons
again.
of stuff like
It's
that.
such a hoarding business. I think I have tools that I probably maybe use 7 or 8 times in my lifetime.
Never again, until you need it for
Until
that
I
one
need
specific
it,
thing.
but you're holding it to get lucky with that one job. Now I'm also done with this, I'm going to show you on the microscope with the inspection how good the work is and how clean my surfaces are. So the area that's like very black, it means that's the tip of it. And then the rest all the way around, you see it lights up nice and beautiful. That means all that surface is catching light. Now if the edge here wasn't good, if the edge that we have over here wasn't a very nice sharp edge, then you have light spilling. So when I turn it, you'll see there is no spillage of light, which means it's a very sharp edge. The camera is not seeing anything as a surface until we turn this. And now immediately you get to see it again here. And the area that we just put down has no light on it. So it gives us a nice idea of exactly how straight our surfaces are all the way through and through, without guessing. Normally my QA will usually take pictures of the work and before and after. Everything we have would always record, because it keeps everybody
Safer.
honest and safer with work. So we don't, because a lot of times we don't see is where the trouble is. So you see we take a very high resolution pictures, and we make sure that everything is up to par the whole time as we're working, because I really want, my name is the most important thing to me. I have nothing
Absolutely.
else to protect, and I try to protect it as much as possible. This is the white gold
Nice
Daytona,
chunk.
and then this is, the beauty of this is it's so, unlike the deeper ones, this is nice and open. So it actually will allow us to put the metal nice on here, and this is semi-gloss surface already, so we don't have any jagged edges a lot that we have to worry about. But we really have to build like a huge bump on it. As you can see in the image here, there's like a nice chunk that's been removed. The one area that I want to check before we start is the inside. I'm pretty sure you checked it too, but I just want to make sure that we have nice beautiful cuts here. There is no indentation that went through.
That went all the way through to the inside.
And this is really good, and this is the design. It's by design that they have these. All of these are actually there for those reasons. They're not just cuts in it to just change the weight. It's actually to create a buffer zone. And look how thick it is right here. Well, this is where
that's where the movement tab goes. But now wait a minute, you just said something, because I had a discussion with one of my friends who's also a watchmaker. But we thought it was to save weight of these cut. Like, do you know what I mean? Because if you've ever seen a steel Daytona, this is all filled in with steel. This being white gold and even like platinum, is it to save weight or is it something else?
So the thing is if they were gonna save weight, they could have literally saved weight all the way inside the lugs over here. They could have saved weight on the band. The thing is with gold is, unlike any other metals, it does work. It's a malleable metal, especially at 18 karat. This here creates a buffer zone now. This was all filled, and this hit happened, and all that ricochet and shock went right into the caliber. It will push the caliber inside. It'll be a nightmare to remove it. Two, there is no way for you to come in now and address it. If you have a dent over here, you could hammer this back out and pop it out the other way. But if it's all full thickness of metal, it's impossible.
I never thought of it like that. You're 100% right.
So these are like, some of it is, it's saving weight is really not, I think, the issue for Rolex, especially that they could price it at whatever they want. And they could shave weight so many other places, like the bezel. They could shave weight on the band, but they don't. And as you can see, it's a very robust design. And the beauty is that this spacing here creates that nice buffer zone. So now, if a dent happens here, but your caliber, it still sits within a safe zone. It's not gonna get, and it's gonna create a little bit of shock buffer.
So now it's filled, it's polished, and I mean the quality of the work is just ridiculous. So we're not gonna film the entire process of this being polished. Johnny obviously has a business to run here. Obviously, we'd love to sit here and chat all day. I'm gonna let Johnny get back to work, pick it up, and then I'll show you guys the final results. Johnny, 100%. Absolute pleasure. I don't care how dirty your hands are. Thank you. A lot of people want to see stuff like this. Johnny's the man. Very few people that I will say that about. He's one. Now, of course, all good things have to come to an end at one point. Both myself and Johnny, we have businesses to run, so we can't just hang out all day as much as I would like to. But now the watches are done. I got them all wiped down. I'm wearing gloves because it took me about 50 minutes plus to get fingerprints off of this high polished mirror finish. But they're both done. They're getting ready to go back to the clients, and I mean, just take a look at the quality of work that was turned out. Johnny and the team, they took care of all the case stents, all the laser work, anything that needed laser fill so that everything else could be refinished. And once again, you could not tell that this watch was ever damaged. The bracelet, flawless, no flat spots, no dings, no dents. Everything that's high polished is been re-high polished. Everything that has a satin finish, once again, it's back to factory standards. And the side of the case with that absolutely monstrous dent on it, you can't even tell it was there. The case is back to its full original geometry. Everything has a super high luster, and this watch looks like a mirror. There's nobody out there that can tell me that this watch does not look brand new now. And now the Daytona. My client was actually quoted $12,000 plus from Rolex for a brand new white gold mid case. Take a look at the side of this case. It had another monstrous dent. It's been fully filled in, fully reshaped, and it's back to factory geometry standards. Guys, this is why I say having OCD is so important, especially when buying pre-owned watches. Guys, I check these things, I make sure that they are absolutely perfect, and when I do the work, it's done flawlessly. This is another watch that looks brand new, and I saved my client probably $10,000+, full overhaul on this watch, and it's back to factory standards. So guys, as always, thank you for watching. If you're looking to buy, sell, trade, or do anything, feel free to retry it out and follow me on Instagram. If you guys like this content, let me know, and I'll catch you on the next one.